Hey Brian, you seem a little quiet today. Is something on your mind?
Actually, yes, Jessica. A close friend of mine has a big job interview tomorrow. And talking to him last night got me thinking about all my old interviews. Some of them were really stressful.
Oh, job interviews. That is such a relatable topic. I remember my first real job interview like it was yesterday. I was so nervous I could barely sit still.
That feeling is hard to forget. Your heart is beating so fast, and you keep wondering if you will say something wrong.
Welcome everyone to Talk English Freely. I am Jessica and this is Brian. We just have natural conversations in everyday English, like two friends talking. No grammar lessons, just real talk. If you enjoy it, please give us a like and subscribe. It really means a lot to us. Now, Brian, let us talk about job interviews.
Yes, they are something almost everyone goes through at some point in life. And they never really get easy, do they?
Honestly, no. I've had so many interviews over the years, and I still get nervous every single time. There is something about sitting across from someone and trying to impress them that just makes your brain go blank.
Totally. I think part of it is because interviews feel so unnatural. In everyday life, you never have to sit down and explain why you are a good person in 15 minutes. It is a very strange and high-pressure situation. But with the right preparation, it becomes so much more manageable.
That is true. Brian, tell me about your very first job interview. I want to hear everything.
Oh, Jessica, it was not my finest moment. I was 23 and I had just finished university. I applied for a position at a tech company because a friend told me they were hiring, but I did not know much about the company at all. I just showed up thinking I could handle it without any preparation.
Oh no. You went in without preparing?
I did. I was young and honestly a little overconfident. I thought I could just walk in and talk naturally, but the moment the interviewer asked me to tell her about myself, my mind went completely blank. I had no idea where to start or what to say.
I have been there. Tell me about yourself sounds so simple, but it is actually one of the hardest questions. You have to sum up your background and experience in just a minute or two. And it has to sound natural, not like you memorized a script.
Right. What most people do not realize is that, tell me about yourself, is not about your whole life. It is about your professional story, where you started, what you have done, and why you are sitting in that chair today. That is the answer they are really looking for, not your childhood, your hobbies, or your personal life.
That is such a good point. My first interview, I think I mentioned my dog at some point because I was so nervous. I just kept talking and could not stop myself. The interviewer was very kind about it, but I knew I was going off track.
That is actually really sweet. But yes, personal details that do not connect to the job can hurt you. A good answer to, tell me about yourself, is usually 1 to 2 minutes long. Clear, confident, and focused on your relevant experience. Did you get that first job?
I did not, actually. I was pretty heartbroken at the time, but looking back, I was not really ready for it. The experience taught me so much about how to present myself better. What about your first interview, Brian? How did it end?
Not great. After I rambled on for too long, the interviewer gently moved to the next question. She asked about my strengths, and I said something like, I am a hard worker, and I am good with people, which, of course, every single candidate says.
Right, those answers are so overused. Every interviewer has heard those exact words 1,000 times. You have to back up what you say with specific examples.
Exactly. Interviewers want to hear a real story, not just a claim. For example, instead of saying, I work well under pressure, you could say, last year I had to finish a report in 2 days because a colleague got sick. And I managed to complete it on time by reorganizing my schedule and staying focused on the key points. That kind of answer is so much more convincing.
Because it is real and it proves the point. I learned this approach a few years into my career and it completely changed my interviews. After I started using specific stories, I noticed interviewers would lean in and actually engage with me.
It really does make a difference. Interviewers hear the same general answers all day, When someone gives a real, detailed story, it stands out immediately and makes you memorable. What other questions did you struggle with in early interviews, Jessica?
The strengths and weaknesses question. That one made me so uncomfortable for such a long time. What is your greatest weakness? Feels like a trap. If you say something too honest, you might seem unqualified. But if you say something fake like, I work too hard, it sounds insincere.
That question trips up almost everyone. The key is to pick a real weakness, but one that you are actively working to improve. For example, I used to find it hard to speak up in group meetings, but I have been working on it and I now make sure to contribute my thoughts more regularly. That shows both honesty and self-awareness.
That is a much better approach than pretending to have no weaknesses. I used to say I am a perfectionist because I thought it sounded positive. But I realized that most interviewers have heard it so many times, it has lost all meaning.
Yes, being genuine is always better. Interviewers are people. They appreciate a real, thoughtful answer much more than a polished but hollow one.
Brian, what about the question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? That one always felt hard to answer because honestly, the truthful answer is often, I have no idea.
That is so relatable. I used to hate that question, but I learned that it is not really asking you to predict the future. It is asking whether your personal goals align with what the company can offer. So the best answer connects your growth with the company's direction.
That makes so much sense. So instead of saying, I want to be a manager, you might say something like, I hope to develop my skills in this field and take on more responsibility over time. And I think this company is a great place for that kind of growth.
Right. That kind of answer shows you are thinking long-term, and that you are genuinely interested in this specific company, not just looking for any available job.
I also want to talk about something that I think a lot of people forget. At the end of an interview, they usually ask, do you have any questions for us? And so many people just say, no, I think you covered everything. But that is such a missed opportunity.
You are absolutely right. Asking thoughtful questions at the end shows you are prepared, and that you are genuinely curious about the role. I always try to have 2 or 3 questions ready before I walk in.
What kind of questions do you usually ask?
Things like, what does a typical day look like in this position? Or, what do you enjoy most about working here? Or, what are the biggest challenges someone new to this role might face? These questions show that you are taking the opportunity seriously, and they give you real, useful information about what the job will actually be like.
I love those questions. They also help you decide if the company is right for you. Because an interview is not just the company deciding about you. You are also evaluating them.
That is such an important way to think about it. A lot of people go into interviews feeling like they have to prove themselves, and they forget that they are also choosing the company. Is the culture a good fit? Are the people warm and supportive? Does it feel like a place where you can actually grow and be happy?
Exactly. And sometimes the feel of the interview tells you everything. If the interviewer is cold or dismissive, that might be a sign about the overall environment. I once had an interview where the manager kept checking his phone the whole time. I decided before I even left the building that I did not want to work there.
That is a very mature perspective. An interview is really a window into the company. If they do not treat candidates with respect, it is fair to wonder how they treat their actual employees.
Brian, I want to ask about something that has become really common now. Video interviews. Do you think they're easier or harder than in-person interviews?
Personally, I find them a little harder. You cannot read the room as well. You cannot see the full body language of the other person, and technical problems can happen at the worst moment.
Yes! I once had a video interview where my internet cut out halfway through my answer. I had to reconnect and then try to remember what I was saying. It was so stressful.
That kind of thing happens to everyone. The best thing to do is prepare your space and connection beforehand. Test your camera, your microphone, and your internet connection, and have a quiet, tidy background.
And I think eye contact during video interviews is tricky. You have to look at the camera, not at the person's face on the screen. Otherwise, it looks like you are avoiding eye contact, even when you're paying full attention.
Yes, that takes some getting used to. Sitting up straight and speaking clearly matter even more on video, because the screen can make everything feel a little flat and distant.
Did you ever have an interview that went really well, but you still did not get the job?
Yes, and it was confusing. I felt great walking out, the conversation flowed well, the interviewer seemed engaged, and then got a rejection email a week later. I had no idea what went wrong.
I have had that experience too. It is one of the most frustrating things. You replay the whole conversation in your head, trying to find the mistake.
Sometimes there is no mistake. Perhaps another candidate had more specific experience in one area, or the company decided to hire someone they already knew, or the role itself changed after the interview. It is not always about what you did or did not do.
That is an important reminder. And I think the best thing you can do after a rejection is ask for feedback. It takes courage, but it is worth it.
Absolutely. Not every company will respond, but some will give you honest, useful comments, and even one piece of real feedback can make a big difference for your next interview.
I asked for feedback once and they told me I seemed nervous and unsure of myself. It stung a little at first, but I worked on it, and my next interview went so much better because I was more aware of how I was coming across.
That is a great example of turning something hard into something useful. Most people just move on after a rejection without asking why, but that one small step of asking can change your whole next experience. What is one piece of advice you would give someone preparing for an interview right now?
I would say research the company before you go in. Know what they do, what they stand for, and why you specifically want to work there. When they ask, "Why do you want this job?" and you give a genuine, specific answer, it really sets you apart from everyone else.
That is so important. Nothing hurts more than a candidate who clearly knows nothing about the company. It tells the interviewer that you are not really serious about the opportunity.
And I would also say, practice your answers out loud. It feels a little strange at first, but it really helps. You hear yourself and realize what sounds natural and what sounds rehearsed. Practicing in front of a mirror or even recording yourself on your phone can make a big difference.
And one more thing, breathe. Before every answer, take one slow breath. It gives you a moment to gather your thoughts, and it helps you come across as calm and collected, even if you are nervous inside.
That is so simple but so powerful. You do not have to rush to answer the moment the question ends. A short pause just shows that you are thinking it through.
Right. Interviewers are not looking for someone perfect. They are looking for someone genuine, someone prepared, and someone who feels like a good fit for the team. Those are all things you can show with a little preparation and a lot of heart.
Beautifully said, Brian. I feel like we could talk about this all day.
Same. Job interviews are one of those things that almost everyone has a story about.
Brian, one more thing. What about what you wear to an interview? I think a lot of people underestimate how much first impressions matter.
They matter more than people think. Your appearance is the first thing an interviewer notices before you say a single word. Dressing well shows that you take the opportunity seriously. And beyond clothing, arriving on time and making good eye contact also make a big difference.
I always try to arrive about 10 minutes early. It gives you a moment to breathe and collect yourself. And I always send a short thank you email after the interview too. Just a brief note to say thank you for their time.
Most candidates skip that step, so when you do it, it really helps you stand out. It leaves a warm, positive last impression.
It really is the little things that add up. Every step shows that you are serious and that you care.
And at the end of the day, an interview is just a conversation, a chance for two people to see if they are a good fit. If you go in prepared and genuine, you have already done the most important part.
We would love to hear your story. Have you ever had a job interview you will never forget? Maybe it went amazingly well, or maybe it was a total disaster. Either way, we want to hear about it. Tell us in the comments below. We read every single one and we love hearing from you.
And if you enjoyed today's conversation, please give us a like and subscribe to Talk English Freely. It really does help us keep going. We truly appreciate every single one of you.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today. It really means the world to both of us. Good luck to anyone with an interview coming up. You have got this. See you next time.
Take care, everyone. Bye.